Today we are in Barcelona. We are here for ShopTalk Europe. I'm joined by Celso Borges Shimabukuro. He's the VP of e-commerce at PepsiCo Europe. I'm here very excited to know what that implies, actually. Celso, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, and well done on the Shimabukuro, right? Not everyone gets it on the first time around.
Here's Paula Macaggi, and this is episode 24 of my show. Welcome to OFFBounds.
We defined our mission to basically do two things. Deliver outrageous growth, because e-commerce grows at a pace that's not usual, right, for the offline business, and develop differentiating capabilities, right? Because the capabilities we need to win in e-commerce today and tomorrow, they help the broader business develop their own capabilities. On the growth side, we have a team on each and every business unit leading e-commerce in our geographical unit. So we have the UK, we have Southwest Europe, we have North Europe, and so on and so forth. And then on the capability side, we have leads for each of the pillars on which we develop those capabilities, right? So we have channel development, more on the commercial side to help engage the big customers on a multi-market manner. We have demand generation, so all the activation, retail media networks, marketing, e-com marketing activities, performance marketing more specifically. And then we have all the data and tech and experiences pillar. So the hands-on keyboard development of data and analytics tools, sales effectiveness tools, digital merchandising, and one thing that we like to call the UX labs, right? So where we test and learn things on the user experience side. We have this test environment where we have mock-ups of our partners' websites and apps, and we play with things there.
That touches something that I'm very curious. You are the first CPG company that comes to the show. And I don't know if I'm asking you something so basic. I struggle to understand how a CPG brand has an online presence because, you know, like when I think about the e-commerce part of any business, is you selling either to your business partner, like in the B2B side, or direct to consumer. What is e-commerce for PepsiCo?
Yeah, that's a fair question, right? So to your point, 99% of our business is via our partners, right? Our retail partners, so our customers.
So we're talking about supermarkets, convenience stores.
So I would say maybe a little less than two-thirds of our business is the usual suspects. So Tesco.com, Carrefour.com, Albert Heijn, the big players on each and every market, right? But we also have the digital natives like Getir, Glovo, who's a great partner right now, Amazon, and so on and so forth, right? So the digital native players are also an important part. And then we have a little bit of direct-to-consumer. They're more test and learn experiments at this point, but we do have a few D2C direct-to-consumer assets ongoing as well.
All right, we're gonna get there soon. But what has been the journey of e-commerce for PepsiCo?
I've been here for 3.5 years, more or less, in Europe. With PepsiCo for 8 years. I started out actually with revenue management in Latam. I'm Brazilian, from São Paulo, and I joined Europe to lead e-commerce 3.5 years ago. The journey has been a wild journey. I would say my predecessor did a startup of e-commerce for us in Europe. The UK is the most advanced market in terms of adoption, and the consumer is already very, very digital savvy and very used
they are.
to...
Like, you can compare it to like Germany or... Germany you can, but like
Germany
Italy
or actually for other categories, Germany is quite advanced. For food and bev, it's a little behind. But for food and bev, UK is very advanced, comparable even to the US, right? So for us, it was first and foremost market. A lot of the capabilities started out there, and it played a lead market role for us. So when my predecessor decided to move on, and when I was arriving, we were right in the middle of the pandemic. So every other market was booming in terms of adoption. And that's the phase I think I led, right? The scale-up phase. So we had to build all these capabilities on other markets or for other markets centrally sometimes and very fast, right? So I like the tagline for the journey is the 2x, 3x, 4x, right? So we doubled the team, we tripled the revenues, and we quadrupled the profit.
In how long?
It was, in this 3.5 years.
Wow.
So it's quite a ride.
Yeah, and like Europe is a huge continent with different cultures, so you had to understand how many people you have in your team.
So the full e-commerce team that we have in Europe now is around 150, 160 people. I would say spread out across the region, and also we have folks working for us and partnering with us in India, in the US, and so on and so forth. So it's quite a diverse team.
Nice. You touched some points before on the digital commerce shift. Here in the show, we always talk about the new consumer, how digitalized they are, and I understand that premise for most companies. When it comes to PepsiCo and all the products you have, from drinks to beverages to chips, and like, how is that experience for the consumer online?
I think that's our challenge, right? So our products, we have the most important categories in Europe are macro snacks, as we call it, right? So the salty snacks are very important, Doritos, Lay's, Walkers in the UK, and the bevs, right? The refreshment beverages, soft drinks. And there is a highly impulsive component for our categories. So our biggest challenge is replicating this impulsivity online, right?
It's not like you're in the line in the supermarket and you're like,
the checkout.
I'm just gonna buy that too. Why not?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. We love the checkout, right? So it's the zone of impulsivity offline, right? So our challenge is replicate that online. So how do we create these interruption points on the digital journey in a way that's not a hassle or a problem or an obstacle to the purchase, but also something that the consumers go, I actually could use a snack, right? So that's, I think, our biggest challenge on the experience side of things and on the demand generation side of things, right?
I buy a lot groceries online.
Yeah.
So I'm bringing a hypothetical situation. Let's say I'm watching a soccer game. I buy a pack of beers and a few chips, but like on my checkout, it's always like, would you like to add this? Would you like to add that? So I think that could be a component of impulsivity that I always fall.
We do like a lot the rapid delivery space, because it's highly impulsive, right? So deliveries on 30 minutes or less, that players like Glovo in Spain or Getir in Turkey or Samokat in Russia, a couple of our biggest partners there, they generate this. So we did a lot of work on understanding occasions to try and to create and capture these occasions digitally, right? And football was a big one. We did quite a few activations during the UCL, right? The Champions League.
It's for me like the perfect marriage.
Oh yeah, with great results, right? So we're scaling up a few of those occasions, right? But the football is definitely one that has a great fit with our categories.
Yeah, football and what else? Like any entertainment,
so
Eurovision.
Yeah, we haven't tried Eurovision yet, but here's a good idea already.
Okay, like PepsiCo, hire me. Let's do our Eurovision.
We might tap you for marketing, right? For a marketing position.
Please. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so and it's the breakfast occasion. We have Quaker, right, and the Quaker portfolio. So that's something that we hadn't tapped into before. And we test weather, both bad weather and good weather. So when it's sunny and you're out and about, why not do an impromptu picnic? So we tested that. We tested the opposite. It's raining, so I'm gonna be stuck at home, so why not have a snack? So we're testing all those things all the time, right? And the more we test, the more data we get, the more refined the activations become, right?
Yeah, but as you sell so much through partners, do you have access to the data that they have as well, or?
Yeah, sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Depends on the partner, on the partnership, and on the activation, the conditions of the campaign, right? So sometimes we do partner with the data, sometimes we acquire data, we purchase data, so it's not first party, it's acquired, right? Third party acquired or second 2P or 3P data. And sometimes depending on the partnership, we share for that activation, right? So share the learnings and whatnot. And now with retail media networks, it also depends on the asset that you're leveraging or using on the campaign, right? So the good answer is always depends.
You touched retail media, which is the topic that everybody's talking about, right? How do you see that? How are you engaging with these new possibilities?
Retail media, as you said, is a hot topic, and it's a little delayed. Its evolution is a bit delayed here in Europe compared to the US, for instance, right? Which is good for us because we have a ton of learnings from the US to leverage here in Europe. But I really see it as a potential disruption for e-commerce in Europe, right? I think the fact that the retailers are now investing on developing better and better, bigger and better audiences and assets, they're going to get more insights, which is going to get their assets more precise, their abilities to target, retarget,
so segment. I think there's a way to go. Still.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
The data is still not there.
Yeah, well,
as they should.
There's shades of gray, right? So there are players that are ahead, of course. There are players that are starting, in a sense. So it's a mixed landscape right now, I would say. But as they invest more, as they develop their networks, their assets, I think e-commerce, digital commerce as a whole is going to benefit because it's more money developing the ecosystem, right? And it's a very profitable revenue for our retail partners, right? For our clients. So it's much more profitable than actually selling groceries, right?
It's win-win-win.
Totally.
And the consumer learns more about the product.
The consumer learns more and gets more personalized stuff that he likes best or he cares more about, right? So I think there's a value angle there for the consumer for sure. There's this value, highly profitable revenue for the retailers, and for us as CPGs, it's a new way to brand build because it starts all the way in the top of the funnel, but also the full funnel approach, right? So all the way to the purchase, which is something that's the differential for me for retail media networks, right? All the superior targeting capabilities in time as they develop, I think it will yield better ROIs for us as well, right? So that's why I think this can generate this virtual cycle of investments in digital commerce, right? In improving the whole experience.
In the supermarket, they already have the strategies of putting the tomato sauce next to the pasta etc. So it's kind of like the same thing, but right when I'm buying it. So it's really like you get the impulsive part that we were talking about before.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, yeah.
And I think it's going to get more, bringing it to our CPG world. I remember an insight from my consulting days, right? We were working, I think, for ABI InBev. There was this consumer insight that whenever folks get married, the consumption of beer declines steeply. Right.
Single man drink more beer.
Yes, absolutely. And then they had this insight on category management that if they put beer closer to diapers, there was a spike in consumption for the new parents, right? And they have newborn babies, so they go to buy diapers actually. But then if they see the beer there, they're like, oh, I might as well have a beer, right? So this type of thing is going to become more and more common. The richer the data gets, the more you're going to be able to find these counterintuitive insights and then personalize them, right? For each individual consumer life journey, if you will, right?
Yeah, talk about life journey. Can you have that as a CPG brand? Do you know that Paula has been buying X stuff from PepsiCo?
So that's so the life journey is a broad question, right? But talking about consumer lifetime value, this is a great question, right? I think CPGs got used to be very transactional. We sell to our customers, and then our customers sell to our consumers, but it's a one-off thing. And I think digital commerce or digital in general brings an opportunity for CPGs to establish this direct-to-consumer relationship, right? So that's what I mean when I say we're pivoting e-commerce to digital commerce. I mean, e-commerce is not only a sales channel, it can be a very valuable consumer engagement channel and also a way to build capabilities that are going to benefit the entire business. And this relationship with the consumer, the data you're going to acquire, the understanding that you're going to acquire, and this dialogue you're going to develop, it's going to benefit the entire business, right? And the answer is no, we don't know what Paula does or doesn't do.
I don't know, because you don't have a loyalty program, right?
Well, actually we do. Depending on the market, we actually do have CRM programs going on, right? So we do have some consumer data and we do understand what they're purchasing and we do offer incentives for them to purchase more, right? But this was done via retailers more often than not. And now we can do that digitally directly with consumers, right? So I think that's a new avenue for creating value for consumers, customers, well, the entire system, right?
It must be incredible because I think like retail is very dynamic because anything you change, you see the results right away. The CPG, I think, is even more because we're dealing with a lot more numbers. If you do a singular promotion, you probably see the results within like an hour.
Online, you mean, right?
Yeah.
Again, it depends on the partner, on the relationship, on the data agreements you have or not with a certain partner. So it depends. But yes, on the good cases, it's as you say, right? We can test and learn, adjust, iterate, and move on, right? That's what I like the most about digital commerce is this pace of evolution, right? And learning and change. I love that.
And how is the D2C? How does D2C work for you?
D2C is tricky for our major categories, I would say. For snacks especially, I think it's tricky to have a standalone value proposition for snacks. But we do have assets and we do have experiments ongoing. For beverages, I think there's a little more adherence because it's a heavy product to carry, so there's something there. But our most successful experiments are when we bring an additional value-added layer. I like very much the Gatorade example from the US. Gatorade has a very broad portfolio in the US. So we have the ready-to-drink beverage, we have the powder so you can mix up, we have enhanced formulas for endurance, for long runners. We have protein bars. Then we have developed this patch. It's a patch you put on your arm while you're working out. So it tells you, and then of course you have the app. So as you work out, the patch is going to send information to your app and say, oh, here's how you're sweating, here's the composition, here's what you should drink or eat to replenish, right? And to keep the performance at your possible best. So that's a cool value-added layer, right? And then, of course, the more you work out, the more you have the data there, the more we can help you enhance your performance,
like
right?
You have your personalized
It's your
guide.
personal trainer for hydration, right? For performance. So it's a whole value proposition around not only the product delivered to your house, right? Then, of course, if you are an athlete, amateur athlete or professional athlete, you're going to need the products for long, right? So it's very good to have a set and forget subscription type of proposition.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah. I think subscription is coming strong for many brands, and I totally see the value for Gatorade. What else should I know about CPG brands that are changing now in terms of the digital commerce area?
I think it's very clear now, and Retail Media Networks is making this even clearer that we can be a consumer engagement, a marketing platform. One thing that I think it's not maybe as clear as is the capability building avenue, right? So as we develop this type of tools and capabilities on data and analytics, this consumer understanding, I can help the entire business understand better the consumer, right? That's one thing. The other is all this automation for intelligence, effectiveness, performance marketing, for instance, which type of assets and creatives work with which type of consumer segments or age cohort, you name it, right? That's helpful for marketing in general. And the actual data and tech development of, we have data engineers, programmers really, building tools that help us automate stuff. This can help the entire business as well, right?
I think like AI plays a huge role there in digesting all this data as well.
Yes, absolutely. For prescriptive analytics and predictive analytics, we're already experimenting with all that good stuff, right? AI and Gen AI even for content generation. So we're playing with that as well. And those are capabilities that can help the entire business, right?
You must have like a very exciting job. I think like everything that you can learn about consumer behavior.
We're a very commercial-oriented company, I would say, very sales-oriented, right? So organized trade, traditional trades, that's the essence, I would say, of PepsiCo. This role in e-commerce helped me a lot exercise more the marketing muscle, if you will. I like that very much. And of course, the tech muscle, right? The tech we have now, when I was starting the role 3 years ago, it was a completely different ball game, right? It changed so fast, and there's like 3,000 vendors or something, right?
And how do you keep up with all these changes?
I don't. It's impossible. So you gotta keep learning. You gotta keep humble and hungry for learning. For technology, it's really about experimenting with what's there and seeing what works and doesn't to our own needs, and then finding the places or the pieces of tech that make sense for us to scale up, right?
And how do you ensure that your team has this mindset?
When we were starting the journey, I think the most important transformation we driven was the talent. Bringing expert talent where expert talent was needed and having this clarity that we needed to infuse the company with digital talent, with a digital mindset, and providing them the room and the authority, if you will, to change the organization, right? I think that was the most important thing we've done. We brought a lot of good talents from tech, from startups, from digital companies, or that had digital experience in big companies. And we mixed it up with, PepsiCo talent that knows the company, knows how to get things going in the company. I think that mix of talent was critical, right? And then to your question is about listening to them, right? I think Steve Jobs' quote, right? If you hire smart people, and then you tell them what to do, you're not, leveraging them, right? You're actually wasting their talent. It was really about listening to
and giving the room
them.
To commit mistakes, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. Allowing some room for testing and learning, and embracing high learning failure, right? No one likes to fail, but if you learned meaningfully and the company is at a better stage after the failure, yes, absolutely. You're spot on.
Did you have a one failure that you remembered and what you learned from it?
On this journey now, I have so many, right? We're going to be here forever.
Scaling up a whole digital side of the business. So I guess there was a lot of learning, but there was one specific that you were like, oh, we thought it was this way and we tried and we learned it was the other.
So there's one that still bugs me, right? On these occasions testing we were doing with the rapid delivery players, we thought gaming would be a great occasion to try to tap into, right? Gaming and snacking usually goes hand in hand. You're about to start a session with your friends, why not, right? Have a snack. So we tried to activate that and the results were not as exciting as I hoped for.
Yeah, well, it takes a lot of learning, I think.
Yeah, we need to.
Because that's a venue, and that's a venue that it's very hard to perform, like, because most of the time we are not the audience for these games, right? Like, we're talking about Janae or I don't know, like.
Yeah.
Your kids, right? Like,
yes, exactly.
How to engage them, and that must be very difficult to.
Yes.
To get their lenses.
Yeah, have a sample of 2 at home, and it is hard to engage.
Do they eat a lot of PepsiCo products?
They eat a little bit, right? I get a lot of freebies from work, so they do eat a bit, yes.
And how do you see the future? What are you excited about in the future of digital commerce for PepsiCo?
Oh, so much stuff. I think the tech aspect of it is, I love disruption charts, right? On processing speeds and memory capabilities. That we're in this curve, right, of this exponential curve, and we're on a vortex point of a breaking point of sorts where nothing ever changed this fast before, and at the same time, if you look ahead, it won't ever change this slow before. So I love to be living in this moment, right? So it's really exciting to see a few potential disruptive technologies mature. Right, so robotics, autonomous vehicles, right? So imagine what drone delivery can do for snacks.
One of the things that I'm most excited about is the thing that we put in our head.
Oh, the Neuralinks.
Yes, yeah. I really just like having a device to do all the work. I really want to forget my phone at home and be able to connect.
Yeah.
To connect.
How to connect?
Yeah, I wanna get an Uber, like, bling. I don't want to get a device. I don't want to get like my neck.
And of course the Gen AI stuff, right? For creatives, I think that's gonna unlock so much human creativity, right? Because they can do the heavy lifting for us. So I think those are such exciting technologies, right?
And what are the skills that you see that someone that is leading a digital commerce transformation, I would say, or maybe what are the skills that you think that are necessary to be leading something like that?
This hunger for knowledge or learning, better said, being humble, right? To know that there's so much we don't know and so much to learn. I think that's crucial. Having this agility to test and learn and to fail gracefully, I would say, and learning from your failures. I think those are all crucial characteristics, right? And you touched on another one that's very important, giving room to other people, amplifying voices of folks that might otherwise not be heard, right? But they might have a better point of view or a better vantage point than yourself, right? So I think those are crucial characteristics to work on digital right now.
Thank you so much for
coming
to OFFBounds. It was a lovely conversation.
Thank you so much for having me, and it was a great to be here. Great
Next
experience.
time we get like a more bar environment and you can bring some snacks.
Absolutely, that's a deal.